Call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams. Senator Thayer.
Here.
Senator Yates. Representative Bridges.
Here.
Representative Fraser Gordon. Representative Grossberg. Senator West.
Here.
And Representative Lewis.
Here. We have a quorum. My co-chair, we've been in discussions up here this afternoon, and the previous record for this committee is 27 minutes. I think this is the fewest amount of people I've ever seen. Is it 19?
No, that's what we're going for.
We're going for 19. Okay. All right. So keep that in mind as you're presenting.
Less government is good.
Less government is good, Senator says. So we'll start out with the approval of the minutes.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Without objection, is so ordered. Please call the first regulation.
Education and Labor Cabinet, Education Professional Standards Board, 16 KAR 430.
This regulation is being amended to reflect recognition of multiple national educator preparation accredited. Remove the requirement that the applicant possess the out-of-state certificate, but retain the requirement that the applicant meet the requirements for the out-of-state certificate, and delete an additional renewal requirement on out-of-state applicants.
Would you please state your name for the record?
Cassie Trueblood, Counsel for the Education Professional Standards Board.
Thank you so much. There are no amendments. We have any questions from members? Seeing none, please call the next regulation. Thank you.
Boards and Commissions, Board of Dentistry, 201 KAR 8533.
201 KR 8533 amends to reorganize and make changes for clarity rather than substantive changes and update material incorporated by reference. The staff suggests an amendment amends various sections to comply with KRS Chapter 13A.
I'm asking someone to identify themselves for the record, but I don't see anyone by Zoom or in person.
If no one is available, then it's an automatic deferral on occasion. They'll come in later in the meeting and we can, it's up to the chair.
I don't think I've ever had that happen, but we'll proceed in that way, and we'll hold that to the side for now. Moving on to the next regulation.
Tourism, Arts and Heritage Cabinet, Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources, 301 KAR 2132, 330, and 3130.
301-132 is being amended to allow for the pooling of voucher cooperator and elk restoration permit points used toward an elk permit and adjust the loyalty redraw system from consecutive years to cumulative years. The staff suggested amendment amends various sections to comply with the drafting requirements of KRS Chapter 13A. 301-3030 is being amended to prohibit sport hunting of wild pigs, require a hunting license to hunt starlings or English sparrows, update language regarding coyote trapping seasons, and align the definition of exotic wildlife with other department regulations. The staff suggested amendment amends various sections to add a statutory citation and make technical changes. 3130 establishes conservation camp properties provisions for boating, fishing, hunting, shooting, and trapping, and establishes prohibitions on using inconsistent with the purposes of the establishes prohibitions on uses inconsistent with the purposes of the conservation properties. The staff suggested amendment amends various sections to comply with the drafting and formatting requirements of KRS Chapter 13A, amends Section 1 to delete 2 definitions, clarify 3 definitions, and revise some time frame requirements, amends Section 2 to clarify that a mentee shall be under 18 years of age or a novice in the specific activity, amends Section 3 to clarify potential mentor activities, and amends Section 4 to delete redundant provisions.
Would you please identify yourself for the record?
Stephen Fields, Staff Attorney for the Department.
There are staff amendments. Is there a motion for approval of the staff amendments?
Motion.
We have a motion. We have a second. We have a second. Without objection, is so ordered. I believe my co-chair has a question.
Yes, sir. On the prohibit sport hunting of wild pigs, It's my understanding, I don't know how widespread they are in Kentucky, but the ecological damage that they cause, why would we prohibit the hunting of them?
The reasons for the prohibition are better explained by one of our biologists, so I apologize if I don't do the greatest of jobs. But wild pigs are exceptionally intelligent, and if a sounder is alerted to the fact that they're being hunted, they become more and more difficult to locate and eliminate. So it works best via mass trapping events where the entire sounder is trapped at one time, and that way they can be eliminated fully. The hunting of them just educates them on how to avoid humans and how to avoid being captured.
Another question, Co-Chair.
Please proceed.
So just for clarification, are you saying if you were hunting a group of pigs, I guess, and you hunted one, they would scatter and then repopulate more or increase?
My understanding is they would scatter and learn how to avoid being hunted, start moving to nocturnal activities, and just be more skittish of humans and be harder to locate and harder to hunt.
Okay. I'll have to look into that more. Thank you for answering.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members? Seeing none, please call the next regulation. Thank you.
Justice and Safety Cabinet, Department of Corrections, 501 KAR 260, 310, 340, 360, 380, 390, 3100, 3140, 710, 740, 780, and 790.
This package of administrative regulations amends the procedures for housing Class C and D felons and the jail standards for full-service facilities and restricted custody centers to update definitions and include new statutory requirements regarding personnel, restraints for pregnant prisoners, sanitation and hygiene requirements for female prisoners, telehealth, adequate nutrition for pregnant prisoners, and attorney access in a legal mail. There are no staff-suggested amendment for these regulations.
Would you please identify yourself for the record?
Amy Barker, Assistant General Counsel here for the Department of Corrections.
Kirsty Willard, Director, Division of Local Facilities, Department of Corrections.
Thank you. As stated, there are no amendments. Do we have any questions from members? Senator Yates.
And it may have just been my ignorance before, but how prevalent of the pregnant prisoners are there? Is it a percentage point, or is it where are we dealing with this? I know we've heard a few different regs on it, and obviously we need to accommodate. But how prevalent is that?
So we see a number of pregnant females coming through the system. There are some mechanisms on the judicial side to divert them in some manner in some cases, but it's not uncommon for us to see pregnant prisoners come through the system.
My understanding, just as a litigator, that's something that obviously that a sentencing judge would take into consideration, and you look for alternative means like home incarceration and other things besides being in prison. So that you haven't seen that as a major deterrent from imprisonment?
I'm not going to say that it's not a major because I don't practice at the court system,
okay.
So I'm not privy to that. But we do see a number of pregnant females that come through the system.
Okay, I just thought since I've been on this committee, I've seen that a few times. I just wanted to bring that. Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members? Seeing none, please call the next regulation. Thank you.
Cabinet for Health and Family Services, Department for Community-Based Services, 922 KAR 1140, 1145, 1495, 1565, and 5120.
922-1140 is being amended to add the subsidized permanent custody permanency goal and add the transitioning to adulthood permanency goal for youth who are 18 years of age or older and have extended their commitment to the cabinet, or who are 17 years of age and have extended their commitment with cabinet approval. The staff suggested amendment corrects the statutory citation and makes changes to comply with the drafting requirements of KRS 13A. 1145 establishes the requirements and procedures utilized in processing requests for subsidized permanent custody. The staff suggested amendment amends various sections to comply with the drafting requirements of KRS 13A and make technical changes. 1495 is being amended to add training requirements for relative or fictive kin foster homes eligible to become subsidized permanent custodians, remove child-specific language because these foster homes will be referred to as relative or fictive kin foster homes, and remove the specific number of pre-service training hours required. 1565 is being amended to add references to the new subsidized permanency option and add that the relative or fictive kin placement support benefit be provided upon each placement of a child if requested and applicable.
922-5120 amends registry provisions to make technical corrections, including changing the name of the registry, add one definition, and update incorporated material. The staff suggested amendment amends various sections to comply with KRS Chapter 13A.
Would you please identify yourself for the record?
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Beacon, and I'm the Regulation Coordinator for the Department for Community-Based Services.
My name is Maurice Lee. I'm the Relative Service Array Specialist for the Department of Community-Based Services.
Good afternoon. I'm Cliff Bryant. I'm the Adult Protection Branch Manager.
Thank you. There are staff amendments. Do we have a motion for approval of the staff amendments? We have a motion. We have a second. Without objection, so ordered. Any members have questions for the panel? Seeing none, please proceed. You have a comment.
Thank you very much. I don't want to ruin our record.
Now, you've got 4 minutes to
Thank you so much.
So we can meet Representative Bridges' time
Thank
frame.
you. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that this reg package contains a new initiative, a new program being established by the department. Subsidized permanent custody will be a new permanency option for relative and fictive kin caregivers. So we're very excited to have that option for them. It's very similar to adoption. Including ongoing assistance, ongoing financial assistance for these caregivers, and a streamlined process. So we're very excited to be implementing that and hope you hear more about it in the months to come.
Senator Yates has a question.
My only question on that is how does that relate to when they're out of state, when the children come from out of state? So we see that sometimes with the relatives. We'll have a Kentucky relative that is taking in a niece, nephew, cousin, whatnot into it. Does that affect it in any way because of the child is literally coming into Kentucky to stay?
Well, this is applicable to relative and fictive kin caregivers who have become foster parents. So they do have to become DCBS foster homes. They have to go through that process first and be foster homes, maintain foster care maintenance payments for consecutive 6 months prior to being eligible for this program.
And so my understanding was that part of the fix was because sometimes people take them on an emergency basis, and then they have to apply to the state, and then this is where the nightmare comes in because you already have the children into it, and then the foster. Is this set up in a way that in the event that you take children from out of state, and this is a very specific, I know I called in with one of my constituents' issues, but they bring in because mama and daddy's gone, mom's addicted to drugs, they drop off kids at the doorstep. All of a sudden, they've got 2 young children in there. They call in, they need help onto it. In that situation, they would call in to become a foster parent 6 months into place. Tell me how that works out.
Sure. Do you want to speak to the process?
So, Senator Yates, just confirming you're talking about a child that comes from another state.
Yeah.
So, let's say Indiana.
Yes.
So, if a child comes from the state of Indiana, their permanency option, their permanency go, and their benefits is based upon what Indiana offers. So, in your situation, if a child in Kentucky was placed out of state, that child, since that is our child, would then be eligible for the subsidized permanent custody because we have jurisdiction over that child. If it's a child that's out of state, it's that state making their determination of what their benefits are is what that family would be eligible for.
Okay, and if I can, because
please proceed.
Yeah, and this is where we have our issue, and because this is happening a lot, and I think I've tried to just get people in the right place. You got grandma comes in place, they got kids disseminate different places, and then, I guess addiction happens. Those babies come back home, these grandbabies or cousins, whatnot, to Kentucky, and they're really left without a recourse because they're trying to contact wherever mom had been staying, Indiana, whatnot, and they're not getting a response, and we're not getting a response in Kentucky. And so you get grandma who doesn't have anything, or the uncle or whatnot, without course, do we, and I'm glad that I had this opportunity because this has come across my desk, and I try to get them, say, hey, call this number, here's what's going on. And hopefully I'll be able to send this video over to them today. What do they do in that situation? Because obviously sometimes people don't have a strong domicile, they're going different places. You got a kid who's brought back, who's Kentucky, maybe they were born in a different state. We do have a process now. Once, I thought it was after they were here for 6 months living with them, with grandma or grandpa or whatnot, they could apply. Is that not the case?
So typically in those situations, once a child has been placed here for 6 months in the sending state, so we'll just continue to use Indiana, once they issue custody or give custody after 6 months, then that grandmother, if they receive temporary custody, would be eligible for KTAP, Kentucky Transitional Assistance Program. Now, if Indiana sent an ICPC request, right, to the state of Kentucky, and it was a foster home request where they send the request to us, that family becomes a licensed foster home in the state of Kentucky, then depending upon what their permanency route is, so say if Indiana pursues adoption, then that family would be able to get subsidy in the sense from Indiana. So a lot of times it depends upon whether or not Indiana sends the correct ICPC. Are they sending it as a relative placement, or are they sending it as a foster home care approval? So it's depending upon what the sending state sends Kentucky.
And I love that you're explaining this because this is stuff so outside of it. I think we're actually going to get a question answered that's been hit, and it maybe actually change people's lives. So thank you for the time. I just asked for a little bit of deference from the committee chair. The situation where the kid just gets dropped, there's no Indiana. They may have been staying in Indiana after staying in a couple other places, had been into some homes, whatnot. Kid gets dropped off in Kentucky. They call in and said, I got a baby that I'm taking care of. It's my grandbaby. That's when they call in, and that's where I think it's the disconnect. They're saying, oh, well, you got to find out where mom was staying before she dropped him off. You got to try to contact this place and say, I don't know. She was staying for different shelters. She was doing different things. Are they just up a creek, or do we have a way to help that child?
So I would say it's case by case situation. Like, I think we would need to know the court system, what the situation is behind the case, because like you, we've heard of those situations, but it's really on case by case basis on how that occurs. Like
this specific case, though, we'd be happy to look into it for you.
Okay, and I'll send, maybe when we're over, I'll send back over. I know that hopefully I'll be able to send this over. And they're doing, I got a particular family, they're doing okay. They're financially okay. There's a lot of them that aren't, and so I'd love to be able to fix this. So thank you for being here.
Definitely.
I thought while we were going through it, it just so happened to open up, and so thank you for taking the time.
Of course, thank you.
Any other questions from members on this topic? So that's great. We were able to have a thorough discussion and still meet Representative Bridges' goal. Oh, before I forget, we have the Board of Dentistry. Seeing no further questions, you guys are dismissed. Thank you so much. We need to circle back to the Board of Dentistry regulations. Is anyone? Here we go.
201 KAR 8533.
Would you please identify yourself for the record?
My name is Jeff Allen, Executive Director of the Board of Dentistry.
There's a staff amendment. Do we have a motion for approval of the staff amendment? We have a motion and a second. Without objection, is so ordered. Any questions from members on this set of regulations from the Board of Dentistry? Seeing none. Thank you so much.
All right. I'll turn all these off.
That concludes our business today. Do we have any questions from members or any other business?
The next meeting is Tuesday, June 11th at 1 p.m.
Tuesday, June 11th. Take note. That is your birthday. I may not.